running the show this weekend. Either Cabot or Albany. I don't know why they alternate between the two. Unless if I'm missing somewhere thing where there's a shuttle bus operation for that. Hello, garbage, mail trucks, and buses are always at home. I see. I'm doing good. NBC here and there. So no red line trains for Quincy this week. But the commuter rail is also free during this time. 217 still runs, but it's not running today because it's a Saturday schedule. The 217 only runs on the weekday schedules. Yeah, I did see a lot. Not sure what that was all about. That is quite unfortunate. This is Quincy Center. Hello, Raphael. Welcome aboard. Long time no see.
Quincy Center Station.
Hopefully they can leave it open.
Quincy Center Station.
So last time they shut down the trains that had Albany run the shuttles, but now we have Cabot. They like to alternate. But they're using their own BTA buses for shuttles. For Quincy and Ashmore, you either use Cabot or Albany. But for on the Orange Line North, they use Charlestown. They never use Fellsway Franklin shuttles. Blue Line shuttles are rare. Well, they use Yankee for Blue Line shuttles. For Green Line shuttles, they either use Cabot. So there is no Red Line because they shut it down due to shuttle bus shuffling, due to track and maintenance work. Hello, Mason RP. Welcome aboard. Hopefully, we can do some bus fanning or train fanning while we wait. But the commuter rail is running 338, 346. Let's see. There's no taxis here. Signal upgrades. So this is the last weekend of signal upgrades on the Red Line because 4 months ago, we'll be shutting down the Ashmont line for the major track work. So yeah, we can do some bus fanning. So when Cabot runs service, there's more fleet diversity because you have XM40s and XM40s and XDE40s. But for Albany, you just only get 2003s. Not bad. I'll be here for another 14 minutes, so we can bus fan for about 10 minutes. Buses seem to be running frequently. So we saw an XM40 earlier. Let's see. Let's see. Hopefully, I hope not. Hopefully, they can leave the game open. Just have it all reset. But yeah, I can do a little bit, answer some questions here and there. Commuter rail. Let me actually check the schedules. Or see when the next train is coming. So Raphael says, what buses does the MBTA does south of the line when you use shuttle buses? Arborway. They only use Arborway. They don't really use Arborway. They rarely use Quincy. Well, there are many types of shuttle bus operations. We have planned shuttle buses, like the version like this. Like, so let's say we need some preventative maintenance on the Red Line or signal upgrades. This is pre-planned. So they have they assign the garage on a given time. So this is planned. Or if you do not have the manpower to use Yankee bus. So all this is pre-planned. However, in unfortunate situations where, let's say, there is a downed tree, derailed train, they use emergency shuttles. So the emergency shuttles is when they dispatch buses for all depots. Like any bus driver who is available can be dispatched. Or if not, or if they're between breaks or stuff, they can be dispatched. Or another thing that they do is they pull buses off high frequency routes. Like, for example, let's say there's a downed tree between JFK and North Quincy, for example. Oh, let's dispatch any buses in the area. So you will see Silver Line buses get pulled off the Silver Line or any other key routes such as the 115. So if you see delays due to emergency shuttle, this is why. So those are unplanned shuttle buses. So you have an XM40 over there. So basically, it is basically to pull anything from anywhere. So that's why you see the Silver Line buses during these emergency shuttle events. But sometimes in the Boston area, like for example between Kenmore and Park Street, that one time they used Silver Line buses during a planned diversion because they have Southampton Street, they chose it. But sometimes they use Quincy buses if an emergency happens in Quincy, but it really depends on the availability. So we have some rare signage. 817 by East Milton. Well, the thing is, during the old days, there's lots of the bus routes used to say via this, via that. But some of them are simplified to say like this or that. But yeah, I can give like an example during an Omni2 stream. Alright, so let me read some of the chat. I've been talking on my high horse sometimes, so yes. So let me see. It seems like they always shut down the red line. It's true, but it's to improve the service. Alright, Elijah Place says, I'm not sure if shuttle bus runs to Mattapan Milton. So during the shutdown, they'll run shuttle buses between Mattapan and Ashmont for the Mattapan line. So all stations. Okay, so let's see. Raphael says, what buses does the south part of the line use? I think so. Yeah, it'll most likely be Cabot will most likely run the service. Cabot will run the service. But if they have enough buses, then they might use Arborway. And there's a lot of XN40s. What I like. Personally, I'd rather them use Cabot buses for the shuttles. Got a little bit more free diversity. But the reason why I didn't use Albany Street Garage because Albany doesn't run buses on the weekend, so there's a whole they can use they can pick up any bus they want. But yeah, I'm not sure what's happening at Albany this weekend. Why all the 3200s? Actually, Lynn uses 3200s. Anyways, all right. All right, garbage mail trucks and buses above the outpost says, and before a lot of MBTA employees quitting Roblox, put meal plans back in the game. Okay, so okay. When the orange line closed completely. Yeah, so the thing is, back then, call it during the actually I'm gonna wait for this bus to go by. $17.31. So basically, it depends on operator availability. So if they do not have enough drivers on the MBTA fleet, they contract their work out to Yankee. Because Yankee is like basically a charter bus company that other companies can contract the bus service. So it's like, let's say, let's say I own, this is an obscure example, but if I own, let's say if I bought the USS Salem, not sir, it's Salem, boat number 139, I believe. If I purchase that boat, let's say I ran the boat museum and I need transportation from Quincy Center to the museum to attract more riders because the existing service doesn't do this. Or if I'm running a Quincy 400 event on my own behalf, not by the city, but sponsored by the city, but you get the point. I need transportation from Quincy Center to the shipyard, but service is limited, and I want to run the shuttle, so I can pay Yankee Bus to run a shuttle bus operation from Quincy Center to the shipyard. For say, like I can like contract out the works, like I can like rent the company's services. I can like charter shuttle buses to run from X time to X time. Like Massport also uses Yankee for Route 77 for their employee shuttle. So Massport pays Yankee to run a shuttle service. But basically, it's like on-call on-demand shuttle service. So garbage, mail trucks, and buses always out. The whole thing for the so sorry for the confusion, but that's not going to happen. But I'm just saying for real life examples. But I'm not sure what's happening with the MBTA Roblox group. Hopefully they're going to keep it open. Hello, Nosa. Welcome aboard. I'm just chilling. Yes, the reason why Arborway uses XM40 is because they only have CNG fueling stations. So basically, Arborway was supposed to be a temporary depot while Bartlett Street was being torn down, but I'm not sure what really happened there. So the temporary depot is still being in use, but now the MBTA has finally figured it out, and they're going to build a new electric bus depot and replace all the CNG buses. And with that being said, I think Cabot's going to keep their CNGs longer because the contract for their overhaul includes 60 buses, and currently about 60 buses, 55 buses are assigned to Cabot of that group. So basically, they're going to get rid of. They might get rid of some of the XM40s when the new electric buses come in. But the electric buses that are arriving are on trial, like so they can be tested and see if they are worthy for service. So yeah, so the electric bus project appears to be moving on schedule. The XM40s will be gone in the long term, eventually. But when the new garage gets built for Arborway, that's when they're gonna go. Unless if the T decides to do something else or rebuild them, and I think the Cabot ones will be rebuilt and have their CNG tanks replaced. So that will be an interesting session. But those plans are just predictions and speculation. But I think that's what the T is going to do. That's what the context of all of their. That's what the context of their board meetings. Context of their board meetings and orders and overhauls imply. But it's for sure that the D4LFs will be the first to go. Well, folks. Let's see. So it's basically the T's getting rid of their specialty fleets. Diesel and CNG are powered by fossil fuels, and the T wants to have a more standardized fleet, either hybrid or electric. But now with the electric technology becoming more advanced and more developed, the T is going to use more standardized because CNG for the time was good. Good. It has less emissions and stuff, but it's not totally zero. It has less emissions than diesel, but it's not totally zero emissions. Because CNG buses have space limitations. If CNG was really the way, then this would have been. Actually, that could be a good what if series. What if CNG was more successful? Like, in terms of like, the only downside of CNG buses is the height restrictions. And they cannot be used in the bus tunnels due to them being an existential fire hazard because you have compressed natural gas, so anything in the compressed can be a giant risk. So electricity can hurt the environment if it's not sourced properly. So conventional electricity can be sourced from coal plants. Coal plants burn coal to power up steam generators, and that generators generate electricity. However, the T has now committed itself to be 100% clean energy, so they get their electricity from wind power and other clean means, such as solar powers. There's clean ways to get electricity, so those are zero emissions electric power. But back in the days, electricity was usually generated by coal farms. But for the MBTA, the CNG, let's see. Yeah. In the Northeast, there's a lot of low bridges, so that's another reason. There's too many bridge clearance issues. $8.17. So do you see CMG in the Main Street tunnels? I think this is because Main Street has a taller clearance. So I think all of their fleet is CNG. So they designed that tunnel to so those tunnels were designed for CNG buses. However, the Boston tunnels were designed for streetcars. And yes, they want to take a risk because the tunnels were designed for trolleys, not CNG vehicles, because CNG was way before their time. Yeah, it's not really raining, but it is damp. It looks like it rained a few moments ago, but the rain has stopped. So Melissa says my storage is too full. My use. Okay, I understand. But yeah, when you get more storage, eventually you should download the MBTA Go app. Party Fitness Center. Alright, unloading strips at second day. Okay. Can you do this every day? What do you mean by this every day? Like do long streams and talks? But the MBTA Go is actually ran by the MBTA themselves. So it's more accurate than the other transit apps. So the MBTA Go is the way to go. Okay. Thank you for being more clear. I'll do it when I can and when grounding and time permits. But yeah. some errands, basically. And I'm gonna do some working out. Not sure if I'm. I do not know if I would. There's a few things I need to do if I were to make it public. I'm not sure. I'm pretty busy at this time. But yeah, there's a lot of things that go into map making publishing. I'll just start something small and see if people like it. Yeah, I understand. When you know what really goes into map making, that's when you understand that. Yeah. But yeah, you understand. I understand you, you understand me, and that's good. Let's see who is out of it. If you know what goes into making a map, then you understand why things take longer than usual. But yeah, I'm glad you understand. Because buses that I want to use are my own buses for meal plans. Because things get complicated when I use my own mods because I just really can't explain it. It gets complicated. Because you can't really redistribute the meal plan AN 4016 model because it says in the thing do not redistribute without giving credits. But then I'm already so that gets complicated. But yeah, I have to make sure that the mods I'm using the AI list have the compliant buses and stuff. But yeah, you get the gist. Anyways, I'm gonna run some errands for